Winnebago County Supervisors to order. Hopefully all of you are checked in. That's what we'll be going by. And at this time, if you'll all rise and face the flag, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Supervisor Powers with the invocation.
Good and gracious Creator, Governor of our land, we begin under new leadership tonight. Let us be a people at peace among ourselves, be worthy of those who have voted, and strive for the best for our citizens. Amen.
Vice Chairman Farry.
Chairman, I move for approval of the agenda.
Second, Dowling.
Motion made and seconded for the approval of this evening's agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Carried. At this time, we'll do public comments. Time will be allowed for persons present to express their opinion on any resolution or ordinance that appears on the agenda, as well as any matter over this body has jurisdiction. Pursuant to Rule 6.4 of the Rules of the Winnebago County Supervisors, the County Board Chair shall limit in all public comments to 2 minutes. So there will be timers hopefully up here. You can watch and see how your time's running, and if not, I will still tell you if your time is just about up. So if you'll want to come to one of the mics, state your name and address, and speak on what you'd like to have to the Winnebago County Board. Anyone? There's a mic on both sides there, so.
Sorry. Good evening, supervisors of Winnebago County. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the future of the Weiss Museum. My name is Stephen J. DeBaker, owner and winemaker at Trout Springs Winery. The current steering committee member also of the Niagara Escarpment Resource Network for the last 15 years. The Weiss Earth Science Museum was established in 2002 after a 2000 designation as the official mineralogical museum of Wisconsin by Governor Tommy Thompson. It has served the city of Menasha and surrounding community for the past 25 years, including visits from tens of thousands of grade schoolers for educational purposes. It is the only educational museum in the Midwest that includes the history of mining in Wisconsin. Besides the obvious, it is a true gem that is unique to Northeast Wisconsin. The late Dr. Joanne Klusendorf helped found the museum with fundraising efforts from the community and served as the founding director of the museum. Joanne started with an empty building and developed the innovative exhibit collections, and educational programs for which it is widely known. Working with her for many years, I could appreciate her passion for Wisconsin geology at the Weiss. One of her many philosophies was that creating this culture gave us all a sense of place that can be shared from generation to generation. To fully appreciate the sense of place is to know that 430 million years ago, the glaciers carved out the Niagara Escarpment right here where we work and live. In Wisconsin, Love the Ledge is a heartfelt expression and is depicted with showcasing the many exhibits at the Weiss.
Time is just about up. Just about up.
We have a choice to do the right thing. We have an opportunity to continue the legacy of the Weiss and not to tear it apart. Respectfully, I submit this petition to the Board of Directors to keep our sense of place intact and save the Weiss Museum.
Thank you.
My name is Beth Brown, and I live at 1240 Briarwood Drive in Menasha. As I said, I live in Menasha, not too far from the old UWO Fox Cities campus. I just wanted to let everyone know here, too, that I did work for Winnebago County as a social worker for 32 years, and it was a great place to work. But today, I'm here to testify about the importance of keeping the Weiss Earth Science Museum in place. Kind of on a whim, I answered a request to be a tour guide at the museum a few years ago. I knew nothing about geology, but I thought it might be interesting, so I decided to check into it. It's close to my house, as I've said, and I thought I might learn something. Dr. Joanne Klusendorf, the director of the Weiss since its inception, shared her knowledge with me. Her passion for the museum was contagious. Scott McCulloch and the other tour guides graciously taught me about the museum and geology, and I was ready to go. I want to share with you what I discovered. The children that came on tours of the Weiss with their school groups were so excited to learn about our state and our earth. In this day and age of kids staring at their phones, tablets, and other technology, it was exhilarating to watch them soaking up this experiential learning opportunity. They loved making earthquakes, seeing real fossils of the animals they enjoyed watching on Ice Age, or the animals they watched on Ice Age, learning about the mining in Wisconsin and the Wisconsin flag, and the fact that Wisconsin was once under the ocean, seeing the beautiful rocks in the gallery, and of course the dinosaurs. They would tell me things like, "This is so cool," with big smiles on their faces. They would stop in the store and buy things for their moms and dads and friends. I would add that this social worker has gained a new passion for geology, especially the escarpment. I visit High Cliff nearly daily now and marvel at the beauty and history contained there. The Weiss Earth Science Museum is the Wisconsin's Mineralogy Museum, and it's right here in Winnebago County.
Time's just about up, ma'am.
Not in Madison, not in Milwaukee. We should be proud to have it here and fight for it to remain. We have, as a society, have erased so much history and hands-on learning, and then complain that our youth are all addicted to technology. Please, let's lead by example by keeping the Weiss Earth Science Museum where it's at, encouraging people to experience it and learn from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce Kastner, 229 Berkeley, Neenah, Wisconsin. Reading for Scott Schaefer, who was asked to provide content. As the former interim director of the Weiss Earth Science Museum, I would like to revisit the feasibility of the History Museum at the Castle to properly store and curate the full collections that are currently housed at the Weiss Earth Science Museum. At present, the collections and exhibits at the Weiss fully occupy a space totaling 5,000 square feet, plus an additional 300 square feet of collection storage, which totals nearly 20,000 specimens. If the History Museum does not have sufficient space to securely and safely meet the housing needs of the collection, I propose that they consider taking a vote to gather more information about the collection to determine what next best option would be for preserving the materials and their academic value, and to determine if the History Museum is or is not the best fit moving forward. I feel that this is a best practice approach given the situation, and am making my recommendations based on my years of experience managing collections and as a museum director. I thank you for taking my comments into consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Neiswender. I live at 133 East Parkway Boulevard in Appleton, Wisconsin. I'm here to speak a little bit more broadly, but in support of the purchase agreement of the UW-Fox campus by Winnebago County. I am a board member and musician with the Fox Valley Concert Band. And for the better part of last year, I have been involved with many partners and supporters who have advocated for the critical needs to protect the community assets at the Fox Valley campus, namely the Communication Arts Center, the CAC, the Weiss Museum, the Barla Planetarium, the Child Care Center, and the gardens. And many of those folks are here tonight. That over 1,500 signatures were gathered on a petition to save the CAC and the campus assets, and that we had a full house at a public meeting on one of the coldest nights in December demonstrates the community's desire to maintain these assets for their future. And so thank you. We finally have a clear proposal to react to and respond to, and I appreciate, and I know all the hard work and conversations that have gotten to here to this night before the public today. On the whole, I believe the purchase agreement is definitely a solid step in the right direction of protecting the public use of these community assets. It is the best opportunity to address preserving these crucial community facilities, and to do so in a timely manner, as we have precious little time before UWO leaves the campus. However, I also want to add that I wish and I really hope that the counties continue to seek mutual solution on the continued partnership with the Barlow and Weiss, as you will hear more of with future speakers, as they have operated together in service of thousands of school children in over 60 school districts in our area. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dr. Beth Johnson. I am the last geology professor at UWO Fox Cities campus, and I am here to read a statement from Dr. Terry Gee, the director of the Barlow Planetarium, who has had a medical procedure. When the Barlow Planetarium opened in March of 1998, it was the premier planetarium in the Midwest. Even now, it is the second largest planetarium in the state of Wisconsin with a 50-foot diameter dome. It was built by the community with multiple donors, including individual citizens and local companies, as well as the Fox Cities Convention and Visitors Bureau. The planetarium was established as a cost recovery operation and has been a community resource ever since, welcoming nearly 1 million visitors in the last 27 years. Much of our impact is achieved in conjunction with the Weiss Earth Science Museum. Ever since its opening in 2002, the planetarium and the Earth Science Museum have worked together, serving the community, particularly in welcoming thousands of students from 60 school districts around northeast Wisconsin and beyond. These groups come to see the planetarium and the Earth Science Museum together as an important aspect of their science education. During the fiscal year 2024, we had over 17,000 field trip students and scout visits, with many of them attending both the planetarium and the Weiss Earth Science Museum. There is an exceptional synergy that exists between the planetarium and the Earth Science Museum. One augments the other, and we are both far better for the partnership we have shared for more than 20 years. As we prepare for the upcoming withdrawal of UW Oshkosh from the campus, the planetarium and the Earth Science Museum have created a master plan to join forces and become the Northeast Wisconsin Science Center. We have begun the process to become an independent 501c3 not-for-profit organization and have plans to grow the science offerings at the current location. We are prepared to begin a capital campaign after
Time is
June
just
30th.
about up, ma'am.
To return the planetarium to its status as the premier planetarium in the Midwest, and look forward to the planetarium and the Earth Science Museum continuing their missions in being a vital resource and educational outreach center. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Mark Sackman. I am a faculty member and the last music professor on the campus. I'm also speaking to you as the conductor of the Fox Valley Concert Band, and hopefully not the last conductor of the Fox Valley Concert Band. The CAC is a magnificent established space. You did a great job. When we built that space in 2009, you were wise enough to support us, and we've made magnificent use of it. And it really is a very special space. And you were wise enough to do that, and hopefully you will continue being wise and give us the opportunity to keep it open. Wisconsin is an extraordinary space for music. I grew up in New Jersey. There are more community bands in the Fox Valley than probably on the entire eastern seaboard, but certainly more than in New Jersey or in Oregon. We're really, the dedication you heard from Catherine, who just spoke, who's devoted enormous amount of time and energy and money to keep the band going, and we hope that you will continue, give us the opportunity. I am convinced that given the past rentals and the experience the band has had, the campus had in renting out the space to the ballet, to attic theater, to all sorts of art groups, that this can be cost recovery, that this will not cost the county anything. At the very least, it's worth the opportunity and the chance to make it work. It may not, but I am convinced, and I shouldn't brag, I'm really good with money. I don't have any credit card debt. I paid off my house. I paid off my car. So when I tell you that we can do this, I am really convinced that we can do this without having to come to you and support it. It's certainly worth the opportunity. We can make it work. And you have also heard, I agree completely with those people who've talked about the Barlow and the Weiss, but other people can speak better about that. But it's a special space. You help build a very special space. Help keep it for the community. We really need it.
Time is about
and
up,
we
sir.
will grade you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Cindy Dugert, 229 Berkeley in Neenah. A volunteer at the Weiss since 2002 and a board member for 15 years. The Weiss Earth Science Museum and the Barlow Planetarium have worked together since 2002. Each has been financially self-supporting. In the records I have of the 18 years pre-COVID, the Weiss and the Barlow shared over 200 tours per year. This includes every school system in Winnebago County and regularly draws schools from a 150-mile radius, serving over 60 school systems. The two institutions work together, complementing each other and providing 2 field trips for 1 bus cost. The Weiss and the Barlow help us and our children to understand and explore our natural world. A decision made in closed-door meetings of the Outagamie County Board of Supervisors hands the contents of the Weiss to the History Museum at the castle. Its mission statement says, "We seek to inspire people to discover and appreciate the rich history of the Fox Valley." The bulk of its collection relates to the history of Appleton. The residents of the Fox Valley of Winnebago County are not served by sequestering the contents of the Weiss Earth Science Museum in a museum of history. With only a part of the displays installed and with no expertise in their interpretation or programming, over time, the presence of what remains of the Weiss will likely go into storage or be deaccessioned or sold. I'd welcome this if it were a choice between that and oblivion. This is not the case. We need a broader understanding. We need to navigate our environment.
Time is almost up, Bam.
And promote the geology of Wisconsin so we can make better decisions. Keep the Weiss.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Parker Middendorp, 1205 Greendale Street, Menasha, Wisconsin, reading for the Lakeshore Natural Resource Partnership. The Lakeshore Natural Resource Partnership recognizes the Weiss Earth Science Museum as a vital institution and the official mineralogical museum of Wisconsin. Its exceptional collection of rocks, minerals, fossils, and interactive educational exhibits offers a rich and engaging exploration of Wisconsin's geological heritage and the Earth's natural history. Welcoming thousands of visitors annually, the museum serves as a public resource for education and geological awareness across the state. It inspires curiosity, fosters scientific understanding, and connects communities with the natural world around them. As a leading voice for environmental stewardship in the Lakeshore region and in partnership with the Niagara Escarpment Resource Network, the Lakeshore Natural Resource Partnership strongly supports the ongoing mission and continued operation of this invaluable educational resource. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. My name's Steve Lenz, 721 Kensington, Neenah. I'm here also to speak on the same resolution that these folks are speaking on, but bring a different perspective. I'm going to bring the perspective of a parent whose children have grown up in the area. We've been able to enjoy the Weiss Museum, the planetarium, but also of a youth organization volunteer who's been able to benefit by bringing our children to the museum, and they've been able to benefit from the educational experience. It's priceless to have these opportunities for the kids in the community. What I'm asking is for you guys to please listen to these folks and reach out to them as you guys are making your final decisions. They have some really good ideas. They've put together great curriculum over the years, and I would like to see future generations benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kali Sip. I'm the collections manager at the Weiss Earth Science Museum. And I am speaking to you not as the collections manager of the museum itself, but as a representation of all museum sciences as a whole. I have spoken with many members across many museum communities, and even those at the esteemed Field Museum, and we have all come to the same conclusion and worry for institutions that are public-facing, such as science museums. I implore you to consider keeping the Weiss Earth Science Museum and the Barlow Planetarium open together. It is well-established community presence, and I would like that to continue within the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mike Lenz. I'm a lifelong resident of Neenah. I just moved over the river to 782 Pleasant Lane in Menasha. I'm the vice president of the Oshkosh Earth Science Club, so I'm speaking on behalf of them. We hope the Weiss Earth Science Museum will continue in the same location for many years to come. The museum is centrally located in the state, in a metropolitan between Oshkosh and Green Bay. The walls of fossils and the walls of red granite are unique and appropriate for the designation as Wisconsin's Mineral Museum. Its educational exhibits are unique and a benefit to the many school groups and homeschoolers that visit. Exhibits of mining and building materials help express the role Wisconsin Resources has played in the state's history. The museum has well thought out, fun, hands-on exhibits of Wisconsin's earth sciences, including a mine shaft to easier understand industries associated with geology and earth resources. An impressive display of dinosaur fossils brings a better understanding of Earth's history and is especially enjoyed by children. Display cases of minerals are impressive and enjoyed by all. We hope this award-winning museum stays in Menasha for the benefit of the community for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard Beal, 6719 Sunset Trail, Winneconne. Good evening. First and foremost, I want to thank the dedicated staff of the University Children's Center and the Barlow Planetarium. For 10 months, they have continued serving families, students, and the broader community with professionalism and care, despite constant uncertainty and limited communication about their future. They deserve not only our gratitude, but our support. Second, let's state the obvious. The best use of a planetarium is as a planetarium. The best use of a performing arts center is for performances. And the best use of a custom-built science museum is to remain a science museum. Many, including myself, support Winnebago County buying out Outagamie County's share of the campus. But there's strong concern, as you have heard, about stripping the Weiss of its contents. That part of the proposal does not seem to reflect the stated objective of best use. So tonight, I respectfully urge you to take 3 steps. First, delay acting on the purchase agreement. Table the resolution to authorize Winnebago County's buyout until your next meeting on May 6th. This would allow time for officials from both counties to present their data, the options they considered, and the reasoning behind their proposal, which has been missing, and not just the outcome. Open up the process, explain the reasoning, answer questions, and give the public a seat at the table. Second, protect what's working now. Pass a separate, fast-tracked resolution to provide operational funding for the Children's Center and the Barlow Planetarium through the end of the year. These institutions are still fully operational and serving the community. Third, and finally, pursue a smarter, more balanced solution for the Weiss. Stop pitting one cultural asset against another. Instead of dismantling the Weiss Earth Science Museum, explore creative alternatives, like relocating some private collections to the History Museum. This win-win approach supports both institutions and ensures that the Weiss can continue as Wisconsin's official mineralogical museum. Importantly, adopting this approach, the approach I outlined, would not delay Outagamie County's internal review and approval process. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Dustin Mack. I'm the Executive Director of the History Museum at the Castle in Appleton. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you tonight. Over the last 9 months, I've worked with Winnebago and Outagamie County executives, the UW system, and all of the Weiss's many stakeholders. Many of them are here tonight. With their buy-in and support, we've come up with a proposal that will help to ensure that these assets remain in the community and are accessible to the public. The History Museum has already raised the necessary funding to do three things. We can relocate, retrofit, and install the Weiss's exhibits at the History Museum at the castle. Not only that, but we will invest thousands of dollars into new graphics, interactives, and replicas to breathe new life into this exhibit that is now almost 20 years old. With the money that we've raised, we can move the Weiss's specimen collection safely. We can package it, transport it, and store it in our climate-controlled storage facility. In addition, we will hire 2 museum professionals. One person will be able to bring this unique natural history content to the public to share it with them. The other person will be hired to manage that collection. By moving the Weiss to the History Museum at the castle, we can ensure that this community asset is preserved but enhanced for the next generation. It's not about taking something, it's about preserving it. Locals, tourists, and school groups will be able to access 2 great museums under one roof for one low cost. I want to thank you for helping to guarantee the Weiss's future in this way, and I look forward to seeing you at the museum.
Thank you.
My name is Jonah Habeck, and I am a geology major with the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. And I personally have had the privilege of working with a good number of the Weiss staff, so I'd like to say first and foremost that they are some of the best people that I've had to be able to work with and do undergraduate research. And I'd like to say first and foremost, I'd like to keep the Weiss where it is currently. I believe its current configuration and its setup is best suited to serve the communities that are around that area within the Fox Valley, and to move it would be quite an arduous process, which I think is quite unnecessary given that the location suits it so well right now. But the Weiss provides an incredible array of displays and information and different specimens that I have never really thought that I would ever get the chance to look at before, let alone touch and be able to examine myself. And they have a plethora of different services and different things for students and other up-and-coming geologists alike, both of which are, as you all know, Wisconsin's future. It's very important that we keep our educational systems as concise and strong and as openly available for people as possible so that we can continue to induct kids and give them the best possible outcomes, right? We want to work on and preserve our future as much as possible. The museum was built and operated by people who have a love of knowledge and a love of Wisconsin and its geological history, both mining and paleontological alike. And they continue to operate it to this day with a fervor and a positivity that is unmatched, as I have seen by many other people. I ask then that those listening to me right now consider what they hold dear and what is important to them and their communities and what they would like to invest in. And I would urge you to perhaps maybe think about education and think about those prospects for future students then. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Don Michaelick. I've been the curator for the Weiss Earth Science Museum for about the last 24 years. I have extensive experience in museum operations and geologic collections in particular. I've done that for 60 years. I'm a member of national and international boards focusing on geology collections. My wife was the founding director of the Weiss Earth Science Museum. She developed this award-winning museum, spent a lot of time in that. I want to comment on several things tonight. Number one is I definitely oppose this idea of moving this, giving this collection to the Castle Museum. Okay, the Weiss is a unique museum. It doesn't exist anywhere else in the state. There's 161, at a minimum, history museums in the state. Why are we giving something unique to just another one of these museums? I've seen the plans, talked to Dustin about some of this stuff over the last couple of months. Basically, this all has been planned out in secret. As recently as last week, Outagamie County had yet another closed session discussing this. They've never reached out to the museum or its staff to ask what we do, how we do it. They have no idea of what's going on there. They also do not understand the uniqueness and importance of the relationship between the Barlow and the Weiss. We fit together. We're a one-stop place. That will not exist anymore if you split us up and move one of our assets down to Appleton Avenue. Now, the merger plan that's been promoted has numerous false and misleading statements in it. For example, the whole focus of it is the tourist industry that's going to be impacted in a positive way by moving our museum down to the downtown area. And
Time's just about up, sir.
And they don't have any real reason to do that. The one thing I want to say is we should put off voting on this specific aspect of your bill tonight and get some experts in here who actually can tell you what needs to be done, what should be done with this asset. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Kevin Kemps, 615 Monroe Street, Neenah, Wisconsin. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Weiss Museum, staying right where it is. The location is great. The work the Weiss
Will you
does
talk into
is-
your mic a little bit more, please, Kevin? They can't hear you.
The work
Thank
the
you.
Weiss Museum does is excellent. It's much more than a collection of rocks. I remember the Children's Museum in Appleton had a rock collection, and they have since thrown it away. Not suggesting that's what will happen if the collection's moved, but the Weiss Museum is, they do a lot of outreach and research, besides that, the education you've all heard about, and I would like to see it stay where it is. On my way here, I drove by the Winnebago County BMX park, and it seems like a similar situation, that the county owns it and someone else runs it, and I have no intention of going there, but it seems to be working out good, and I think that's a great asset for Winnebago County also, and I think the Weiss Museum is a spectacular asset. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Amberlynn Gilbertson, one of the supervisors, District 15. I want to first thank all the people who spoke on the museum and the planetarium. I just wanted to remind everybody that this month is Autism and Awareness and Acceptance Month. I have 3 individuals that I get to happily call my family. One calls me their cousin, one calls me aunt, and the other person with autism calls me mom. It's a very, it impacts 1 in 36 kids in the U.S. And I just wanted to remind everybody to be compassionate because you never know what invisible disabilities somebody may have. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the board this evening? Anyone else? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone else from the audience? Okay, then we'll close that part of the meeting. We want to thank you all for coming. Communication from clerks, county clerk.
Okay, we did receive another letter this evening. It was addressed to Thomas J. Egan, our county board chair. Dear Chair Egan, I am writing to register my support for the purchase agreement between Winnebago County and Outagamie County for the current UWO Fox Cities campus. I think that this is the best option presented to both county boards and will remain a public entity for the residents of both counties. The future looks bright for this great opportunity. I also support the purchase since the agreement will assure the continuation of 4 community assets on the campus. 1, the Barlow Planetarium, 2, the Communication Arts Center, CAC, 3, the Children's Center, and 4, the community gardens, hopefully. These facilities were developed through the cooperation and coordination of UWO Fox Cities, UW Fox Valley, the county boards, and the tireless involvement of community members from both counties. The community members not only invested their time but substantial financial resources for these community facilities. It is my understanding that the Weiss Earth Science Museum will also continue, but at the History Museum at the Castle in downtown Appleton. This is necessary considering the importance of this agreement. However, I would urge Winnebago County to work with Outagamie County to determine a way for the Weiss to continue offer programming near the Barlow Planetarium. The 2 facilities together have been a great resource for local schools to have one location to take school groups. This was very cost-effective for schools to have one location to feature two great scientific disciplines, geology and astronomy. I wanted to mention that I served on the UW-Fox Valley Foundation Board of Directors from 2003 through 2011. As president of the board in 2009 and 2010, we successfully raised over $2,100,000 from individuals and businesses towards the building of the CAC. We convinced many Fox City residents about the importance of the CAC, not only for UW-Fox Valley students, but also for the development of our Fox Cities communities. I also served on the Outagamie County Board of Supervisors from 2010 through 2016, and again from 2018 to 2022. I represented the county board as a UWO Fox Cities trustee from 2020 through 2022. I learned about the importance of the 5 community assets. Thank you for your consideration of my support for the purchase agreement. Jerry Iverson. And nope, that's all I have.
I just want to remind you all, the people in back were also considerate on their 2 minutes. That's what our, the board will also be at on 2 minutes, so just so we all remember that. Reports from committees, commissions, and boards. Call in if you would like to speak, please. And Supervisor Hanson.
Last April, the creation of Rule 26 happened at the organizational meeting. It was to set up a task force to discuss the rules. The intention of that was to clean up anomalies and conflicts in it. As imperfect as it is now being advanced to Judiciary and Public Safety for a couple of reasons. Number one, the rule as written in Section 26 basically says the task force is over in April. JPS needs to vote it in May, and in June, the board has to vote on it. So at this time, the task force has now advanced the resolutions that were last advanced, or excuse me, the last presented for comment at the last Judiciary and Public Safety meeting. Please note for everyone, one of the reasons that you will not see a vote on individual resolutions from the task force is if you look at, say, Section 0, there are maybe a dozen different changes in red lines. Not all of those were presented at one time and may have been by multiple submissions. So each of those changes were advanced by vote to resolution format into the section. So that's why you don't see the vote on the bottom of the resolution. Again, it has now been handed to Judiciary and Public Safety. My thanks to the task force members, to the county board chair, the Office of Corporation Counsel, and to the county clerk's office for all of their help and support. Thank you.
And I definitely want to thank the task force and the chair and all the same ones that you just mentioned. It was a big hassle, I should say, on some parts, but very enlightening on others. They went out and there wasn't just going ahead and looking at each little word. They went through all the rules and that, and so it'll be very good. If anybody has any amendments or whatever, come to JPS. Hopefully they can get a lot of them resolved before we get to the county board, because we know how them county board meetings can get very long, and we want to get away from that as much as possible. So if JPS can get that done. Supervisor Stafford's shaking his head no, but whatever, that's the way I'm saying that. So okay, anyone else on Supervisor Powers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the last ad hoc meeting on rules, which was just yesterday, Julie, our county clerk, did ask, please, if you're going to have resolutions, put them in writing. That's best for her. I'm just making that request on her behalf. Thank you.
Anyone on Zoom on any of this? Okay. All right, that's all we have for that. County Executive Report. It gives me pleasure to go ahead and introduce our new county executive this evening, Mr. Gordon Hintz, for his first official business up here this evening. Welcome.
I have a board meeting on my first day, plenty on the agenda, but I just want to thank all of you who have had a chance to, a number of you have reached out, and the rest of you, I look forward to getting a chance to talk to. I'm obviously setting up meetings with department heads and also looking forward to setting up meetings with you individually in your districts so we can figure out priorities, share a little bit about what my goals and priorities are for the county, and continue to do work on all the good things that you guys are doing. Obviously, it's not an easy first day but I want to thank County Executive Damel and Ethan Hollenberger for sitting down with me yesterday and going through a very professional transition and briefing me and giving advice, getting me up to speed. I haven't been directly involved in the UW-Fox negotiations, but I've kind of had some conversations with both County Executive Nelson and County Executive Damel, about the movement and decision and action and some of the urgency behind some of the decisions that need to be made. It's obviously not ideal to have a decision made, so quickly without, a fully informed public, and I think we've heard some of that tonight, but I also realize that we're 10 months into discussing the future of UW-Fox, and with a June 30th deadline looming, and a lot of moving pieces. It's also understandable why every week sort of counts, especially when the goal of getting a third-party childcare provider is one of the most important priorities. And I think we know, I think there's a good chance that by July 1st, that can happen. It's also understandable that having a single governing entity and one board to negotiate these agreements would make developing the rest of the property easier. It's hard to sometimes get two county executives, two full boards to try to figure out the best way to go about doing things. And so, the result of the agreement tonight, giving that to one executive and one board to be able to work forward, clearly, I think, removes some of the obstacles. It's also reasonable for Outagamie County to want something for their decades of investment in UW-Fox. Given the potential increase in tax base growth, they could be asking for future payment in lieu of taxes or additional payments. In this case, they're asking for the Weiss collection and to feature it at an existing museum, in downtown Appleton. I just bring that up because, when we consider our decisions going forward, continuing with Outagamie County, depending on where we are in the next year or 2 years, at some point when we have to make deals on things, there will be a decision over what Outagamie, given their investment in the property over decades, ultimately wants. UW-Fox is no longer a university after June 30th. I think on the positive side, the proposal keeps the collection in the area and has the support of the owners. We have a lot of assets on that campus to worry about. We've heard about the Performing Arts Center, about the Barlow Planetarium. We know about the Child Care Center. And, especially with the Performing Arts and the Barlow, I think these are entities that we want to see, and we want to see the Weiss continue. But we also know that county government isn't in the business of operating and running these things. We need those entities to become self-sufficient. We need them to, the 2-year period to kind of figure this out that's in the agreement is really about, supporting, coming up with, and hopefully developing the continued public use of these assets that we have. But, not having the county in the business of operating those things. I think that we'll find ourselves in 2 years, if that's the case, divesting and, selling off a lot of the development projects. So that's a challenge to all of us and all of us in the community to make sure that we're doing everything possible in a short time possible to get the right kind of support, the right kind of plans in place, and the right kind of third parties involved to keep these things going. So I guess, Yeah, that was the only agenda item that I was going to, refer to. I was not involved in the negotiation, but have been briefed. Again, want to thank, John and Ethan for sitting down with me yesterday and for giving me feedback and for the professional transition, and look forward to, meeting and talking with all of you soon. So thanks.
Thank you. I guess I'm up next. First thing is, I think that we should definitely give a nice round of applause for our outgoing county executive and Ethan and their staff, because they did a lot of hard work also, not only on this UWO, but a lot of other things. So let's give them a nice round of applause. Supervisor Macho, he has had open heart surgery, so he was not here this evening. I hate to start picking out people, but I'm going to tonight. I want to welcome back Supervisor Gabbert and Supervisor Harrison. I'm so happy to see both of you here tonight. That believable. I know you've been going through some health issues, so happy to have you both here. So. And we've got our county board tour coming up on May 19th, and it seems like a ways off, but if you want to put that in your date book. We've talked, I talked to chairman of the facilities, and we're kind of going to be looking at going through some of the projects that'll probably be coming up more than anything else. So that's kind of where we're going to be going mainly this year. I won't say that's it, but that's kind of our main issue. We're going to be going through facilities, that projects that'll be coming up in the close future. So other than that, I want to thank you, and we look forward to this next year. We've got one more year to go, and hopefully we can all work together and keep things going. At this time, we have a presentation of a transition document for the county executive by his assistant. Ethan, I believe, is going to put it on. Ethan Hollenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I knew I was giving this presentation for the last week, and I didn't really prepare because I didn't want to change it a million times. And being a kid from Winnebago, being able to come back the last 4 years and serve my home county has been a pleasure. Before I get asked the question, what am I doing next? Tomorrow I am flying to El Paso, Texas to be with my brother and my new nephew. So I'll be in Texas for Easter. So that answers that question for you. Maybe I'll come back, maybe I won't. I don't know. It's 90 degrees there right now. It is not going to be 90 degrees tonight. So what we wanted to do with kind of our last board was to give you the documentations that we've provided, both Adam Belcarelli staying in the office and the county executive Hintz. We gave you two. One was one we went through yesterday, and the other is kind of the topics that the county executives went over yesterday as well. So we kind of gave kind of the layout of the kind of what our office does, the structure, some of the changes that we've made over the last 4 years to kind of get from out of silos and into different things. There's probably more that I'm forgetting. So I know one of the notes that the county executive took down was my cell phone number, and Mary Ann keeps threatening me that she knows my cell phone number. And if you want it, then feel free to give it away, Mary Ann, to whoever here asks for it on the board, because I'm more than willing to answer questions or things that we may have been going through. And so the first one, actually it's the first one that's in your packet online, and probably the second one that was on your desk, is that office transition, kind of some of the things that we were going through to make our office operate, some of the boards and commissions that the county executive serves on. And the biggest probably achievement and the thing we're most proud of is our engagement with employees over the past 4 years. And so we're hopeful that the county executive and his team begin planning the Employee Appreciation Family Night for August, and cards and engaging county employees. So that document you can read through. We went through that. The next document is all the appointed department heads. We listed very briefly on this document, but kind of some notes for memories. This is not an exhaustive list of all of the projects working on that. There are hundreds of moving parts in county government. We have 1,100 employees, and this is just a key list of them. Obviously, with Mary Ann, she asked for 2 minutes of my time. Everybody else gets a minute, was what she told me before I came up here. So the key projects that each office works on, and these aren't new to many of you, particularly if you serve on committees of jurisdiction for them. UW Fox Cities, recodification for her, and then maybe the one that we haven't briefed on recently was the Department of Revenue tax levy. If you were here in the 24 budget, I know 13 of you weren't, but there was a tax levy issue for transferring of highway. The Department of Revenue, we think, made an illegal determination. So did WCA Council. We've sent a letter to them in January, and we have not heard about where our levy is going to be. We anticipate that that's a good news, because if they intended us to change our levy or reduce our shared revenue payment, they would have told us by now. With the Department of Administration, the big thing, you all passed a strategic plan, and that is the platform of the county board. So whatever politics or partisanship that may exist elsewhere, you all gave a direction of what you think this body wants the county working on, and that's an important thing to check when your issues are coming before you, because county government is built to kind of get around some of these chaotic transitions in partisan politics, whether it's the state or the federal government right now. And so that document really is important, and I encourage you, you spent a lot of time on it, I encourage you to work with the county executive to put his OKRs and how is he going to implement that, because that is what you all agreed unanimously is the platform of the county. And that will lead into what your priorities of the budget are going to be as the annual budget instructions come in June and July, and then some of the other things that needs to happen. One of the big things we also created over the last 4 years was leadership development. You all mandated that in the merit pay plan. And so we have $75,000 in the administration budget for leadership, conferences, other ad hoc things, but really the High Performing Leadership Academy. They're investing in mental health first aid, which is another NACO, National Association of Counties program, and also Real Colors, True Colors, which is a personality profile. So we're working to continue those things because you felt in the merit plan it was really important to have professional development, and that is continuing. In finance, Paul's doing all kinds of different things. You have the spirit funds are still out there for the county projects, and I know Paul really is kind of getting into enterprise resource planning, the ERP, and getting financial reporting in a better way for you. If you remember a couple months ago, the personnel in finance heard a presentation on fund summaries and a different way to go through that. That ERP planning, the human capital side and human resources is also happening. Hopefully online applications on how to better utilize that human capital. They're doing training and roundtables, again, for the professional development, recruitment. But the big challenge that you have to understand is there's been a lot of new staff in county government. Of the 12 bodies at Human Resources, 2 have more than 4 years of experience in their position. And you'll see that repeatedly. Solid Waste has the same issue. Nobody in their leadership team has been in that position for more than a year. And so you see that as people retire, attrition happens across the county. IT is one of those as well that's had some leadership. The big thing they're working through is a county website, which should come sometime this fall, and the applications administrator position, which you all see here, working with county departments to make sure that they have specialties in the software. The big thing for facilities and property management is that master plan and facilities condition. There was an article in the paper that made it sound, maybe the Facebook post more than the article, made it sound like we're building a new campus. That is absolutely not the conversation that the Facilities and Property Management Committee had. So the Facebook comments, I don't think any of them read the article. Mike was in Washington, D.C., and I responded to the media request. So Mike didn't on vacation. Well, we were both actually in D.C. And we were very adamant, this is a site and space study. One of the things that the consultant told the facilities and property management is, based on the needs departments went through and what they could do if they reconfigured it and built new, we could decommission 250,000 square feet. You have a lot of things to consider with that. I mean, you have just the configuration of the buildings we have and to maintain is $150 to $300 million, depending on your inflation calculation. And so, again, there's another committee meeting. I think the architects are coming again in April, the tour in May, the board meeting in May, and then in June is really for you to kind of do site space. Where do you want to see county facilities go? Because the county has not built a facility for county purposes since I think 97, other than the airport general hangar. So for multiple offices, Coughlin and Neenah are building, and those are 30 years old. And then you have the specialties jail and Parkview. And then the other thing that Mike is really working on and his team are expertise in facilities to allow some of the other departments, airport, highway, parks, to specialize in what they do really well, and let facilities specialize and break those silos down, and let facilities do what they really do well, which is maintain our buildings. The next one I have, we're moving to public safety, is the medical examiner's office. The big thing we have there, first of all, is the name change. People still forget we don't have a coroner anymore. We have a medical examiner. But two, the new office and morgue. The challenge with the new office and the morgue is there's a moratorium on medical examiner fees imposed by the legislature for about 10 years. And so some of the cost recruitment that they were to create fees could be challenging, and there's some legal review that has to happen to be a fee-based, not a levy-based office. Emergency management runs our communication team and is building a culture of emergency planning across the enterprise. The airport, the two big things, there's three kind of big issues. The master plan and where is the infrastructure going to go. There's an argument with the FAA on one of their standards. We have an EAA operation, air venture operation, we have a general aviation operation. And sometimes the standards don't mix with both of those. And so they're working through that. We obviously have worked with Discover Oshkosh. We want more EAA engagement for the guests that are there, greeting them. And also you're gonna have to make a decision eventually on the airport fire station and the level of service and fire protection that occurs at that airport. The fire station is at end of useful life and a decision needs to be made. Highway is one of those departments where they have new staff and long-term planning coming. The master plan, if you remember, wanted a long-term transportation was one of your pillars, and you wanted a long-term thing both on facilities, but also the highway. What do we have to fix? What do we need to keep? What's been urbanized? All of that will be a lot of work, and Bob is having his fellow commissioners in Oshkosh in May. Solid waste, long-term planning again. We may need to open a landfill again, so the Solid Waste Management Board just started that process with them. And then the long-term gas and energy, where does that go for them? Public health, opioid abatement, they're also going into some strategic plan as required by DHS at the state. The other thing I forgot on here is federal funds. Some of the COVID funds was negligible that you heard, billions or millions in the state. I think it was, Doug's here somewhere, $5,000, 10. So negligible, mostly vaccine related, right, Doug? Yeah. So some of those news articles that you saw, when it trickled down to us, this was the COVID-related stuff, not there, but there's other things that we're waiting. This week is when a lot of the executive order stoppages, their final reports were due. So this week and next, I think we anticipate a lot of the federal stuff that's been paused to have finality on. Child support, the big thing there is, if you can guess, there a lot of turnover, and people who are interacting with child support aren't happy, typically, to be interacting with child support. Either somebody's not paying or they have to pay. But in the governor's budget, there's significant changes to the child support usually mostly technology, but also related to some intercepts for kinship and other care. So they're going to be monitoring the state budget. There's a lot of things in DCF's budget. Veteran Services, I would say, has the biggest opportunity with the VA, and they're doing some great things. Mark the Friday of the county fair, Julie, August 1st-ish. Is it August 1st? Somewhere,
In that area, yeah.
whatever the Friday is.
July something. It's the end of July.
It's the end of July. What is it? July 31st. That'll be Veterans Day at the fair. Last year, they grew it, and now they're going to grow it even more. They're going to have an exhibit of education and entrepreneurship for veterans and their families. It's always been free for veterans, but there'll be discounted tickets. Watch for Dell to keep updating that and his staff. They really found great success in their outreach approach. I think he presented to JPS, was a week ago Monday, or last Monday, whenever that was, and he's really doing some key things to help veterans in different ways. He's been with us for 4 months, 3.5 months, and they're rocking and rolling. Human Services Watch the HELP program. You all made housing one of your pillars, so I would expect that to be a priority in the budget. Budget cuts in state budget are going to be crucial there because whatever comes from the federal government will go through the state, and it's all mostly passed through. We don't get a lot of direct spending. And then continue to watch the Child Long-Term Support Program. Parkview is the staffing levels, and right now don't bother the administrator because state survey is in town. So right before County Executive Hintz came in, the Parkview administrator called and said, oh, by the way, survey's here, so good luck. And I said, good luck. That's our annual review, and we expect to do quite well on that. And then they'll be doing it throughout the summer and spring, wage comparisons. UW Extension, their big thing, this kind of Coughlin building use. Sometimes the big rooms in Coughlin aren't the best for smaller-ish groups, so we want them to review kind of all of the public space. We have public space at airport, solid waste, sheriff's office, the county administration building. What rooms does the county own? Expand out Coughlin and use the best use space there. They also are partnering with Parks on a software that's working better. Speaking of parks, the large event, Pyrotechnics Guild International wants to come back in 2026, and so they are chomping at the bit to get a contract. Other long-term contracts are going to be due in the next couple of years. The Parks Commission will have to do its orientation meeting, get appointed and do orientation, and then they're also looking at their master plan and how to invest and how much to invest in outdoor recreation. Planning and zoning, I wish we would have gotten shoreland zoning done. Changes in state law, changes in the DNR regulation. We didn't, but I think they're on a path to give some authority back to towns. One thing to understand about planning and zoning is you're saying no to somebody, yes to somebody, so there's always constituent complaints, which I will not miss, having to deal with any zoning complaints with neighborly fights. And then in the next year, there's going to be the comprehensive plan or smart growth is due, and you will all, the committee will make a determination on how much whether it was required to be citizen engagement, but how does it align with your strategic plan. And lastly, my favorite department, because there's other department heads here, land and water conservation. They're doing great things with their Spirit Fund money, which increases cost share. As you know, DNR permitting, Chad and I were meeting till 5:30 yesterday, still an issue across the board. He is waiting on 2 federal grants to get contracts in. USDA's is supposed to be last week. I don't think we've heard. And then the Van Dyke Breakwall, actually the Lake Winnebago Breakwall, the Department of Interior, Fish and Wildlife is for some reason holding that up, but we expect the contract soon. And then there's some state budget things for their staffing grants, and then the cost share agreements that the state needs to be reappropriated as well. So you just got 10 minutes on county government, and hopefully you tracked all that. But again, that's just kind of the high-level stuff we were tracking. There's obviously different things there. And I just want to say on behalf of County Executive Damel how much fun we've had over the last 4 years and the last year with this board. We calculated it's 29 county board members have less service or as much service as County Executive Damel. And we have about half the department heads have about it's more than half of the department heads have less than 5 years of service. So there's been a lot of change at the county for the better, and we hope that the county executive Hintz continues that. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions all night long, so you can delay your decision on UW Fox Cities. So I'll stand up here as long as you need, because I'm going on vacation tomorrow anyways. So good. I don't know if there's any questions. Yeah.
Vice Chairman Fari.
Thank you. I just want to say, Ethan, thank you for your service. I've always considered you to be a very intelligent man, sir, so it's been a pleasure to know you. Thank you.
Thank you. There's 3,000 counties. There's county management. There's a lot of people out here, so I'm happy to have done it in a professional capacity. We were talking yesterday. I'm a member of the International City and County Managers and the National Association of County Administrators. So politics is in my past. I'm ethically and in my membership can't participate in campaigns. Did not participate in the county executive campaign. Did not participate in any local races because when we do this when I chose to leave the legislature, I chose to get into county professional management. And I text my friend who's now in Eugene, Oregon, Lane County today. I forgot to say this. He and I worked together in the Milwaukee County Executive. He was a department head. I was an intern. He was the one holdover from Tom Ament to Scott Walker. So I jokingly say he's the one that wrote the pension plan in Milwaukee as a 23-year-old. But I asked him, I said, did it feel like a funeral on your last day in Milwaukee County? Because that's what it kind of felt like yesterday as everybody was coming up. And he said, well, this is why we promote professional managers as opposed to elected officials, because this is what happens. But you know, he gave me some encouragement, but it was fun.
Well, I believe the board all wants to thank you again, and we wish you good luck on your new adventures.
Thank you.
Whatever it may be.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is honoring retired county employees. Supervisor Cox. Resolution 011004-2025.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution 0110-04-2025 for Carrie Florick.
And we have a second.
Okay, do you want me to read it?
Okay.
Tom, do you want me to read it?
Julie?
No,
The
we'll write it down
commendation?
then. Want to read it now?
Yeah.
Okay. The clerk will read Carrie Florick's carries before we move on then.
Carrie Florick began her 35-year career with Winnebago County as a clerk typist at Public Health. After 3.5 years, she accepted a transfer to the district attorney's office. 6 years later, she joined the courts as Judge Thomas Gritton's judicial assistant. As he prepared for his own retirement 18 years later, Carrie accepted the judicial associate role with Judge Scott Wold for the last 7 years. Carrie was a strong leader and dedicated county employee. Her professionalism, wealth of knowledge, and high regard to confidentiality is an ideal mixture of what court officials seek in their personnel. Other court staff that had the opportunity to work with her were fortunate to learn from her. We thank Carrie for her years of service and appreciate the rapport she built with her co-workers, court officials, other agencies, and the public she worked with every day. We wish her well in her retirement adventures. Congratulations, Carrie.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Carried. Resolution 011104-2025. Supervisor Cox.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolution 011104-2025 for Deborah Nagel.
We have a motion made and seconded.
Deb Nagel has announced her retirement from the Human Services Department after 27 years of service to the Behavioral Health Division. She has been an excellent support and resource to our customers, our consumers, as well as a tremendous asset to all the teams she has worked with. We will definitely miss her sense of humor and true dedication to the population we serve.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Carried. Resolution 011204 2025. Supervisor Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution 011204 2025 for Stephen Breister. Breister, sorry.
Motion made and seconded.
Steve Breister began his career with Winnebago County as a janitor watchman in 1997. He became a highway operator too in 1998. Steve was an extremely dedicated and hardworking employee and excelled at every task he was given. He was a skilled truck driver and snowplow operator, always willing to help another coworker or train any new hire. He will be missed on the annual spring bridge washing crew, washing all the bridges within the county. Steve was a vital asset for our department and for the residents and travelers throughout Winnebago County. In his spare time, Steve enjoys refereeing high school sports, traveling, and spending time with family and friends. Stephen's distinguished record and compassionate service is both commendable and appreciated. With over 28 years of county service, Steve retired on March 28, 2025. Please join me in expressing our gratitude and best wishes as he enjoys his retirement.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Carry. Resolution 011304 2025. Supervisor Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to approve the resolution 011304 2025 for Wendy Paulo.
Motion made and seconded.
Wendy Paulno has served Winnebago County with dedication and excellence for over 27 years, demonstrating a strong commitment to her work and the community. And throughout her tenure, Wendy has been a valued member of the county administrative AODA SUD team, contributing her skills, professionalism, and kindness to all those she worked with. And Wendy has not only been a dedicated employee, but also an individual who finds joy in the great outdoors with a passion for camping and enjoying nature. And Wendy's willingness to help both clients and coworkers with care and concern has been greatly appreciated. And the Winnebago County Board expresses its sincere gratitude to Wendy Paulno for her years of exemplary service and contributions to Winnebago County. We extend our best wishes to Wendy as she enjoys a well-earned retirement filled with camping adventures, cherished moments with her grandchild, and all the happiness she so richly deserves.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Carried. Next, we have the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion is made and seconded.
Chairman, we have item number 9, which is a 3/4 vote that I would like to pull from the consent agenda.
Number 9. Yes, Vice Chairman Ferry.
I would request to pull item number 11, which also requires a 2/3 vote.
Okay, so I have a motion made and seconded for the consent agenda. We'll be pulling item 9 and item 11. So all those in favor of the consent agenda, other than item 9 and item 11, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carried. Item number 9, resolution number 011604 2025. Supervisor Cox.
I would like to move to approve the resolution 011604 2025.
You're moving to approve it?
Move to approve it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carried. Item 11, Resolution 011804, 2025. Vice Chairman Fari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of Resolution 011804, 2025.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Supervisor Hintz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, I'd just like to remind my fellow supervisors that the consent agenda was unanimously passed, which would be a 2/3 vote. We don't need to pull these items for 2/3 or 3/4 votes. Thank you.
Well, they wanted to make sure, according to the rules, that that's why it was done.
Well, if somebody says nay, then you have.
So, all those in favor of signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Carried. On to business items. Resolution 012004, 2025. Authorize the execution of an agreement with Outagamie County for the purchase and sale of parcel number 760126200 and parcel 760167100, the property attached to it and its contents. Supervisor Hintz. Supervisor Hintz on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 120-042025.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Yep. Corporation Counsel would like to say a word.
Even though many of you have heard this presentation specifically at facilities, I did want the whole board, those who may not have heard it, to hear it and to try to explain to the board what is the subject of tonight's Resolution 120. This resolution is basically saying that Winnebago will divorce itself from Outagamie County and pay Outagamie County $1 to get its interests at UW Fox Cities. This will resolve the child care situation. As some of you have heard, the child care center is going to be closing at the end of June. Actually, I spoke with councils. The understanding is that the daycare ends on June 20th. Thereafter, the employees would be reassigned to a different situation. But the bottom line is that families who have been informed of this situation are facing a prospect without daycare in essentially 2 months. There are 25 families and 30 children who will be without daycare. Turning to the actual agreement, as you know, that we would essentially pay Outagamie County $1 to obtain its rights to the property, which are expected to be transferred by the UW Wisconsin Board of Regents. So there are two pieces to this. UW Board of Regents would have a termination agreement with Outagamie and Winnebago County. But that is not being discussed tonight. What is being discussed tonight is solely severing the relationship with Outagamie County, because Outagamie County and Winnebago County jointly own the property at UW Fox. And as County Executive Hintz referenced, it is actually going to make things easier, because as opposed to dealing with 2 county boards, you would be dealing with 1 county board, as opposed to dealing with 36 or 72 supervisors, because I believe Outagamie has 36 supervisors. we would be dealing with 36 county board supervisors. The key pieces that I want to bring to the board's attention is, aside from the dollar purchase price, the really important pieces are under 6.3.2, which talks about the fact that the property will be operated for the benefit of the public for 2 years, and that during that 2-year period of time, Winnebago County could lease the portion of the property to third parties for a non-public purpose. However, if any portion of the property is leased for a non-public purpose, it was very vital that revenue generated from any kind of lease from that non-public purpose would be utilized to fund the operation or improvement associated with the public purpose of the property. The other piece to know is that after 2 years of public purpose, Winnebago would own the property outright, subject to the following provisions, and that is, if the property was determined by Winnebago County to be sold, then Winnebago County would be entitled to all of the money that it put into the property and would basically share any kind of profit over and above what has been put into the property with Outagamie County. Those would be deemed surplus funds. The other important piece to know about this is that if in fact the property was sold after the 2-year period, and I should say Winnebago County would be entitled to all of the new tax base of the property, which again, County Executive Hintz referenced. The agreement does talk about the fact that basically Outagamie would provide to Winnebago County all of its right, title, and interest in the Barlow Planetarium, in the Child Care Center, in the Art Gallery, and the Performing Arts Center, everything, the theater. But again, as people have noted, Outagamie would retain its right to all property associated with Weiss. So those are important provisions, but again, the key is that there are 25 families and 30 children who will be without child care in approximately 2 months. And this basically is an agreement that will try to, as I said, try to basically get this deal completed. It is one piece, and tonight's vote is only regarding essentially Winnebago County divorcing itself from Outagamie County, so that Winnebago County would be the one who was basically looking at the property. And you can all talk, but I just wanted to at least give you a bird's eye view of the key pieces in this.
Thank you. I'll let everyone talk, but first I'd like to ask the facilities manager if he'd like to come up and say anything about this, if he has anything different than what we just heard.
I don't really have much of anything more to add to that. Getting it down to one county making the decisions is probably the best thing that we can do. We've lived through an agreement with the city and the county with the safety building, and we had issues with trying to get things done, working through a city council and a county board. We've had the Tri-County Ice Arena, where it originally started with, was supposed to be 3 counties, moved down to 1 county, and we finally had that, and we're trying to resolve that issue now. So we're going to have another type of property that is going to have some issues trying to get everybody in an agreement at 2 separate times to what needs to be done to the property. So, I would encourage you to look at this real hard and try and get us down to one county.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to remind everyone that you'll have 2 minutes, just like the other ones that got to speak. So Supervisor Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the clarification from Corporation Counsel. Because of the community feedback that has been reached out to probably many supervisors personally, and what we heard in the back of the room, a question for Corporation Counsel, there has been several requests to delay this vote. Could Corporation Counsel please explain legal opinion for Winnebago County of either the benefit or harm if we did delay this vote?
That if the child care center is closing on June 20th, it would be, I would think, important to get this resolved sooner than later, because again, we're essentially 2 months away.
Thank you. I concur. Just one follow-up. I believe you clarified, but we also heard a lot of community feedback, concern of where items may or may not be located, compelling arguments on both sides. This, again, is only to separate us at this point from Outagamie County.
It is to separate us from Outagamie County and keep all of the assets with Winnebago County, but for Weiss. But for Weiss. Weiss would go to Outagamie County because it was quite clear that Outagamie County was requiring that the Weiss exhibit, assuming what we get from UW Board of Regents, goes to Outagamie. And again, realize Winnebago County is keeping the tax base. And so obviously that's a valuable asset. And again, as County Executive Hintz referenced, Outagamie has jointly owned this property with Winnebago for decades. I mean, I believe it was like in 1959 or 1960. So that is an important piece.
Thank you very much for the clarification. I hope that answered not only my question, but some of the questions that we heard during public comment. And I defer. Thank you.
Supervisor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I have just one quick question before I make a comment. Mary Ann, if this passes, do we save the child care? Will child care continue with passing this resolution? Or is it definitely going, is it just going to end in the middle of June anyway? Can we save child care?
You can, where are you?
Here I am.
You can save childcare, but right now, Winnebago County has no control over that, all right? This would basically, as I indicate, allow Winnebago County to pay $1 to get Outagamie County's interest in the property, and then the next piece would be terminating the agreement with UW Board of Regents, and the agreement is with Outagamie and Winnebago County. Now, I spoke with Outagamie County's Corporation Counsel earlier today, and they are having, addressing this at the, April 22nd, and there is going to be a board meeting shortly thereafter to talk about this, this situation. So can I tell you it's definitely going to be saved? I can tell you that the sooner this gets resolved, the better chance perhaps it has in terms of getting saved.
Okay, that answers that question. I've had season tickets for years for the Attic Theater that performs at the theaters on the campus. I'm concerned about 25 families, 30 little kids not having child care. Is keeping Weiss property, is that a deal breaker for Outagamie, or are they going to just flatly say no then? That's a deal breaker. I'm getting nods from people. We've heard from people here, who've come and said, please keep this in our community. I guess I would encourage them to write to the Outagamie County exec and see if they can't change his mind, but I'm just scared about the kids, and for my own personal, the theaters, I've been to both theaters for performances at the Attic Theater. Thank you. Yes.
Supervisor Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am disappointed that we've arrived at this point where the UW Fox Cities campus is closing. It's heartbreaking because I do believe in public education, and I strongly believe in Wisconsin idea and the continuation of excellence in education. With that being said, we are at this crossroads, and we have found it challenging to arrive at decisions quickly while sharing custody of that property with Outagamie County. So I do support this separation and this agreement. But it is with sadness that we will be moving the Weiss Museum to Appleton as a result. My biggest question in this agreement, and this probably is a question for Corporation Counsel, is there is no statement about our expectation of the Weiss Museum and displaying it. We've heard their intentions of building a new facility or establishing a new facility that handles that exhibit.
Time's
But
just about up.
thank you. But I am concerned that it is not addressed here.
What I do want to add, and I think some of you know that, is obvious, County Executive Damel was intimately involved in negotiating a lot of the situations with all of the parties. The other piece is there was a lawsuit over 13 years ago in federal court that was brought against the Board of Regents by Leonard Weiss and the Weiss Earth Science Museum. And in that, it was settled. It turned out it was settled. And one of the attachments talked about the fact that if the Weiss Museum was closed by the University of Wisconsin, Fox Valley, the endowment would be evenly split between the Weiss Faculty Staff Endowment and the Weiss Scholarship Endowment. It went on to say, importantly, that if the UW Fox Valley was closed, the endowment would be transferred to the Weiss Ecology Center in Ringwood, New Jersey. It did say, though, that should the University of Wisconsin be closed and the Weiss be kept in existence, it talked about basically keeping all of the exhibits together. So I think that is a really important piece in this whole puzzle here. But again, this was executed 13 years ago, but it's a settlement of a lawsuit that was brought. So that's what I can tell you about that.
Supervisor Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening. My comment has to do with the actual draft of the resolution itself. It's a small point, but it's one I'd like to bring up. If you look on line 49 and going to line 50 on the actual resolution draft, you'll say after 2 years of public purpose, Winnebago County owns the property outright. And yet, if you look at the end of the draft, when we're doing a summarization of all the different key points of this agenda, that line 49 to line 50 is not included on that, and I think that that's a very important point. I would think we would want to include that in the, underneath the be it further resolved section, that we would add that 2 years at the very end, proposing possibly a continuation of line 91 and 92.
It says line 79 and 80.
No, line 79 and 80 indicates Winnebago County acknowledges and agrees that the property will be operated for the benefit of the public for 2 years. It does not actually describe that we own it outright at the end of 2 years. Thank you.
That is a good point, but I would also note that the agreement that is attached, the actual agreement, talks about the fact that we do own it, we will own it, and that, again, we will be entitled to the tax base from that
Right.
if it were sold for a private purpose after the 2 years.
Understood. I
Yeah.
just think that final line is important. If we're going to recap the entire thing like we did, I think that 2 years, hanging on to it for 2 years and then maintaining sole ownership of it is an important point.
Okay, so you would, and I'm just trying to, what lines were you talking about?
Okay, if you look at the original document, right, you're looking at line 49, where
Yeah.
it begins after 2,
Yep,
and then through to the end of property outright on line 50. Just that one little line, 49 wrapping around to the end of line 50. I'm recommending that also be the final line at lines 91 and 92, I think, on the resolution. That's all.
so are you making a motion to amend?
I guess that's what I'm doing. Yes, I'd like to make a motion to amend the document to add 49 and 50 to the end of 91 and 92.
I think I heard Supervisor Holtz seconded. Discussion. Discussion. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Carried. That it, Supervisor Hintz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the chairman of the Facilities and Property Management Committee, I thought I'd go over a little bit of the history of what we've been through as a board and as a committee. And one of the first things that we had said from the beginning was secure public usage of the cultural assets. Now, if you look at the cultural assets, we're actually securing ownership of most of them. We're securing ownership of all of them except for one. The next thing that we had stressed as a board and as a committee was securing the child care. Well, we need this agreement to secure the child care and allow them to advance through the future. I'm not going to go into all the details about it, but they do have a very good plan in place. This is for us to take ownership of the UW Fox Cities campus, and as such, Outagamie County will have no say in the Barlow Theater, childcare, art gallery, anything that's on that campus. That'll be ours. Just like we will have no say in the Weiss because it's transferred over to them, and actually to the museum. Throughout this entire process, the cultural assets were important for everybody on my committee and important for everybody on this board. And I would say that looking at the number of cultural assets that there are and the division of them, that we're coming out way farther ahead than I thought we were going to, because I think for most of the time, most of us thought the Barlow and the Weiss were going to go. And we're actually keeping the Barlow as is. So I will be supporting this, and it's not for not caring, and it's not for not loving history or the museum. It's for allowing the public to still engage in all of these cultural assets in one form or another, and not delaying and costing families hardship and costing those workers to wonder if their job is going to still be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Gustafson.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna maybe anger some people. I'm gonna pass right now because I'm actually at the end of the
Supervisor
line.
Bender. He's going to pass right now. Supervisor Bender.
When I originally came tonight, I was in full support of it, but
after I heard the people talk in the back, I don't see any reason why we couldn't share the artifacts with Outagamie County. There's more there than they're gonna be able to display, and rather than put them in storage or in a warehouse, there'd be no reason why we shouldn't be basically displaying them. And we can say we're getting the Barlow and we're getting the Performing Arts Center there, but it all comes at a cost. You know, our facility director told us that campus costs $800,000 just to maintain it for a year. We have no money coming in. The day we take it over, July 1st, them are all expenses to Winnebago County. You know, Outagamie County sold us the Tri-County Ice Arena for $1. We're still dealing with that. They're gonna walk away with a collection that they're gonna put in their art museum, and their headaches are done. Our headaches are just starting July 1st. We have to figure out what we're gonna do with that building, and I know it's gonna take at least a year before we have anybody in that actual building. It's gonna cost us a minimum of $800,000. And then if we can't find a tenant for that building, we're gonna have to basically tear that building down and keep the daycare and the planetarium and hopefully some of the artifacts in the Weiss and build a mechanical room onto that. But by turning this down tonight and basically going back and saying, we want to share the artifacts with you, you know, we can each take some, we can vote on it next month. That daycare can't run, it's not funded. You know, so even if we pass this tonight, there's no money to tell them people they have a job until we actually pass money for the planetarium to run after June 30th and the daycare to run after June 30th. We can do that all next month. Or we can do it at the special orders meeting in May. So I will not support this tonight the way it stands. I am more than willing to share the artifacts with Outagamie County, and if that's not good enough for them, then let them have the headaches that we have and share the expenses right along with us.
Supervisor Nelson.
Just like to say that I've been divorced twice and been in numerous partnerships, and they've all been a challenge, and the only way you get out of any of them is to compromise. And I'm going to be supporting this. I think the trying to save the campus and move forward is in Winnebago County's best interest. And I believe that Outagamie County has invested in this, and they have every right to expect something in return. It may not be perfect. That's why it's a compromise that both counties can live with. Thank you.
Supervisor Swan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm the chair of the trustees at UWO Fox Cities campus. I've been intimately involved with this process for the last 3 years. I'm very sympathetic to all parties involved, and I want to thank the public who showed up tonight in support of saving the satellite entities there, particularly even the Weiss Science Museum. I think you have to look at the good and the bad, and I think overall having Winnebago County take control of this at this time is good. We need to preserve the child care center. We need to have operational control on what to do with the campus. As far as the Weiss Museum goes, I think, you know, in the interim, if they are to move these artifacts to Appleton, where will they display them? I don't think boxing them up would be in their best interest. They may be able to do a lease back after purchase of, remember, this is personal property. They could do a lease back with us and display those items short-term or as long as they want. All they're asking for is essentially control over what may be done ultimately with those artifacts. Even if they took those artifacts, let's just envision a scenario potentially where the Weiss could reinvent itself. Now, we lose naming rights as well, but you know, it doesn't mean the facility couldn't be repurposed and used for some other geological display. It would be difficult, but it could be done. Again, a lease back for as long as Outagamie County would want could be done. And then this could solve the issue. Thank you.
Supervisor Laux.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All Outagamie County wants is the Weiss. and we get everything else. And then if we make money selling the properties, we split it with them, the money that we make off of selling the property after 2 years. This is not a huge ask. Could you please, Marion, tell me what the steps are to get to us saving the child care center? There's something on the 22nd, and then there's,
So the first step would be tonight, the board's decision regarding the divorce with Outagamie. Then the next step would be Outagamie bringing it forth to its facilities committee and board, and then giving their blessing. And then the final piece would be UW Board of Regents terminating its agreement with Outagamie and Winnebago. I spoke with UW Board of Regents Council today in terms of timelines, and they told me they thought it could get done in May. But presumably that is based on your board taking action tonight. Because again, the sooner this gets resolved, presumably the better for the child care center.
so the funding, because we're going to vote to fund the things through the end of the year, right?
No, that's a separate discussion.
Right.
No, tonight,
I know, but that's going to have to come to the board.
yes,
And that's not going to make it for May 6th.
no.
No.
But that's a separate
And-
but urgent
right.
discussion that should be had sooner than later.
Yes, and
And
that
there's
can't
nothing-
happen until this happens, and those other things happen, and it's not going to make it back to us on the 6th, no matter
Of
what.
May?
Yes.
No.
So we're talking about our regular meeting, and then, so we're really pushing the child care center to the max here, even if we approve it tonight.
Right, because again,
'Cause this is
child
all-
care, they are closing on June 20th.
Yes.
They are pulling the
So
child
it-
care on June 20th.
It really is very time sensitive.
Supervisor Burrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I reflect on the public testimony tonight, the heartfelt, particularly about the Wise Museum, and I also reflect on this map. This reminds me of a game of Monopoly 3 hours in. There's houses all over the board, and you roll the dice, and you land on the wrong one. And you count your money, and it's not enough, and they say, I want Boardwalk. And my concern is the emergency right now, which is causing us to make a decision, is childcare. And if I look at this map, if you take Weiss out of this, what's left? You just pick a gem out of the property as it relates to public use. We just talked about schools and all the usage. That's what I'm struggling with. And so my question perhaps of corporate counsel is, what happens if we turn it down? Is there not another pathway to keep open the childcare that's separate from this? Because I would hope that Outagamie does not want to shut down childcare too.
My understanding from former County Executive Damel, who has been intimately involved in these conversations and negotiations, is that child care, the only option, is to basically bring this to the board. That's what I can tell you.
Okay. Thank you.
Supervisor Gustafson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we'll take a shot at it. Call the question.
Motion made and seconded to call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Nay. We'll do it by roll call. I'll be in favor of it. I'll be in favor of it. This is just on calling the question now. If you're in favor of it, vote aye. If you're not, vote nay.
One call, that's all. It's gonna be 2 calls tonight. Everyone's got a little extra spice in their drink.
Yes, but it's just for calling the question, not
Just for calling the question, that's it. It failed, 21 to 11. So we're back on it. So I will call the ones that were in order right here now. Supervisor Ranking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In my time working on this issue, both on the Facilities Committee and on the board, the one thing that has been apparent the entire time is that it's going to be very difficult for us to ever reach a consensus in terms of an operational path forward if Outagamie County and Winnebago County are still the joint owners of the facility. I'll remind you, we've had agreements that are very close to the finish line twice now that have been pulled back. And as a result of that, we have lost precious time. And now we've found ourselves in this situation. It wasn't just the actions of this board, our facility, it wasn't just the actions of everybody else involved. But regardless, that's how we've come to this point in time. And I will say that in terms of the child care center, in my knowledge of the child care community in the area, the access that those families would have outside of their current situations, they're non-existent. Most of them are going to struggle to find new child care. And not just that, the staff at UWCC is outstanding. Far exceeds expectations and standards for the area. In terms of the community assets that are there, I understand the passion of the community to keep those assets there. Most people have memories associated with those facilities that go back years, associated with family members. Some of those things may be impossible to replace. I understand that these are going to be emotional conversations and decisions that are made, but ultimately we're left with the choice to move forward right now or to postpone and face the negative repercussions of not acting. Not acting today still has consequences. The Child Care Center will likely close. The Weiss Museum may be sent down to UW-Madison. We don't own that. Winnebago County doesn't own it. Outagamie County doesn't own it. UW-Oshkosh owns that. They're agreeing to leave it here in exchange for getting out of their facility early. I think those are things that we need to consider. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Excuse me, thank you. Supervisor Bender, second time. Supervisor Dowling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to both Facilities and Property Management Committee and the UW Fox Cities campus trustees for dedicating countless hours to this discussion and consideration of this important resolution. And I know this situation is not ideal. Earlier today, I had the opportunity to speak with Dustin Mack, the Executive Director of the History Museum at the Castle, and he assured me that the museum is well equipped to care for this collection with the support of professional staff. He sounded very confident in their ability to handle the artifacts responsibly and respectfully. It's important to recognize that without this move, the collection could have ended up in Madison, or even worse, put up for auction. So by supporting this resolution, we're preserving a piece of our regional history right here in our community. Combining the collections under one roof will reduce the burden of staffing, building maintenance, and long-term costs. I'm also encouraged to know that funding is already in place to hire 2 professional staff members, one to focus specifically on the Weiss collection and the other to manage the exhibit and foster community engagement. While it's unfortunate that some of these decisions are out of our direct control, I'm choosing to trust that the Outagamie County Board will make the right decision for the people they serve and the legacy that we all share. I will be supporting this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chairman Fari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me say, first of all, I certainly understand and appreciate the comments from Supervisor Bender. In my opinion, they are correct. However, it brings us to another issue in regard to money, and my question now would be to Mary Ann Miller, if she would please respond to it. And I hope you have the knowledge to address this. My understanding is the Winnebago County will be receiving a $2 million grant. So if you confirm that, then the question becomes, can we use that grant for operational cost to cover Supervisor Bender's point of view, at least for the balance of this year and perhaps next year?
There is a $2 million WEDC grant that goes to UW Fox Cities, and it can be provided to property owners for repurposing the building, all right?
Okay.
So my understanding is it can only be utilized, that's the only way this money could be utilized from the state.
To repurpose the building?
Right.
Thank you.
Supervisor Albrecht.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some of you may know that this wonderful campus is in my district, District Number 3. I live 10 blocks away. I've been intimately involved with this issue since June 13th. I was shocked, as we all were, with Chancellor Levitt's announcement, without any public input, if you remember. Okay, the burden was handed to us on that day, correct? And here we are. There have been multiple complex factors. I've heard from many constituents. I've spent many, many hours with people on the phone, in person, many visits to the campus itself. There are multiple difficult factors here. We can spend many hours discussing them, but here is one that really concerns me the most. Here's my question. What is Outagamie's primary interest in the Weiss Museum of Earth Science, all right? Is one museum compatible with another? Would the Trout Museum making this request be reasonable? Is the History Museum's request of transferring this special scientific geologic resource reasonable? Do they have staff and experience to handle these artifacts properly? Who will be responsible for them? Does that person have the proper scientific credentials? Okay. Secondly, are you aware that a museum merger document was developed by the History Museum? Raise your hand if you have a copy of it.
Your time's just about up, just so you know.
This has not been a transparent process, and that consumes me greatly. I am undecided about my vote at this time.
Supervisor Powers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I realize this is my second time. Is there any way Corporation Counsel could tell me, or maybe Tom, can we pull, there's been some discussion that we could have additional discussion with Outagamie about Weiss. Can we vote on this resolution and pull the Weiss part out and come back to it later? To save everything else? The little kids, the little children, Mary Ann.
County Executive Nelson is here tonight in the audience, and that is not possible. He just said no.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Hintz, your second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I just want to apologize to everybody who spoke before. It's not that I was disrespecting you. I appreciate every one of you and what you brought tonight. I was just in such a hurry to get so much history out that I forgot, and I apologize for that to all of you. The comment that Supervisor Bureau made about the gem, well, I would say the gem would be the one that gets 4 times the foot traffic that the Weiss does, which is the Barlow. Just saying, it's all in the eye of the beholder, and while we're playing puns here and stuff. So, as far as the child care and the transparency, there have been a lot of community groups and municipalities and school districts and so on and so forth throughout the area that have been shown interest in these things. And because of that, that's why it hasn't been in public, because they didn't want to worry their taxpayers if it was something that they weren't going to do. And I know for a fact that some of these entities are willing to come back to the table, especially one of them that was interested in running the child care. I'm not saying that's going to take effect immediately. I'm not saying it's written in stone. I'm saying that there are interested individuals in a lot of these things. We just heard from a gentleman with the theater who says he thinks that they can make it run. They can raise the money and they can keep that operational. Those are the kind of people that we're going to be leaning on for all of this. I know there are people that are interested in saving the Barlow and want to raise money for it as soon as possible. As soon as they have clarification on where the Barlow sits, they can start doing that. And that's the other part that we're not thinking of, these private groups that want to operate these entities, that we would probably be more than happy to give ownership over to after the 2 years. So you have to think of that as well, because we're holding those people up, and there are a lot of moving parts in this that have still yet to come to fruition. So thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Hanson, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will just say that I'm sure that this is not an easy vote for any of the supervisors in this room. And while I am certainly sympathetic to the nostalgia that has been expressed, I am under the impression from the discussion that this is really a time is of the essence matter, and it needs to be voted on tonight. In weighing the options, especially when it comes to the June 30th deadline by UWO, the child care, I will be voting to advance this. Thank you.
Supervisor Bender, second time.
I'd just like to reiterate that, by voting this down tonight, it doesn't mean it's a dead deal. It means that our county exec can go back and negotiate to get, so we can basically share the exhibit. And we can bring this back at the business meeting and pass it. There's 2 other people that still have to pass it. Even if we pass it, they may vote it down. There's no guarantee. And as far as the daycare, I don't know if UW sent out the pink slips, but they have to have a 90-day notice. If UW Oshkosh didn't send out pink slips to that daycare, those people can't be laid off June 30th. They had to get their pink slip 90 days prior to the layoff. And we have no money to fund it right now. So even if we pass this tonight and all 3 entities pass this, we still have to pass money to keep the Barlow, the daycare up and running. Because after June 30th, there's no funding for it. So I don't know what the difference would be if we basically lay this over until the business meeting, see what the other 2 entities do, and then we could basically, if it passes those and they agree to share the artifacts, we could pass this to buy it, and we could pass the funding for the daycare. Because I don't believe that UWO sent out any pink slips, so I don't believe that daycare is closing June 30th. And that's my opinion. I'm sure corporate counsel has an answer for it.
You're right, I do. So the daycare is ending on June 20th. According to UW Council, the employees at the daycare have been reassigned to Head Start. So they could potentially keep their jobs in 4 different sites. However, I have been told these employees have been there a long time, and they are basically something that should be treasured. So the daycare ends on June 20th, but my understanding is, if what you're saying is accurate, they haven't, quote, received their pink slips. Maybe that connects with what I was told earlier today in terms of they can be reassigned.
One other question for you. You said there was 25 families. How many of those families live in Outagamie County?
I don't know the answer to that. I said there are 25 families and 30 children. Do you
Yep,
know
I
the answer
understand.
to that?
Yep. I don't have the answer how many live in
Oh,
Outagamie
okay.
County. I was just wondering if the county exec wanted to basically shut down the daycare, where I'm sure some of those people, it's right on the county line, probably do live in Outagamie County. It will affect them too.
One's on Zoom. Okay, we have no other hands in the air. So at this time, we'll take into resolution 0120, and we'll vote by machine. 04-2025, authorize the execution of agreement with Outagamie County for the purchase and sale of parcels number 760126200 and parcel 760167100, the property attached to it and its contents. If you're for it, vote A. If you're not, vote nay.
Abstain.
Passed 28-5. Number 2, Resolution 010803-2025, adopting a Winnebago County fund balance policy based on best practices from the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, and Government Accounting Standard Board, GASB. Supervisor Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put forth a motion to approve 0108-03-2025. Thank you.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Vice Chairman Farry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will elaborate a little bit on what I have identified as page 116 of the document, and specifically the third paragraph. That paragraph states that this policy will establish an opportunity fund, and it does not designate how money will come out of the fund. We're simply going to establish the fund. However, I need to note that now we're talking about the unassigned fund balance. This has been in discussion with Supervisor Cox and myself for probably well over a year. All during those discussions, and it was his initiative a lot to do this, the opportunity fund would be 50% of the unassigned fund balance. The other 30% is the new initiative that would basically lie with the administration and their authority over that 30% fund. In this document, it states that it would be 100% of that balance beyond the 30% that would be contributed to the opportunity fund. I think that is a serious flaw. We need to remember that the unassigned fund balance can be utilized by this county board at our discretion, specifically during the budget process, to represent and apply funding. Example, if you wanted to buy down the debt, you could do that. So it's important to me that we keep at least 20% of this fund available to us, the body. Therefore, I offer an amendment to the third paragraph where it states 100% of the excess. I offer an amendment to state 50% of the excess above the 30%. Do I have a second?
Not hearing a second, it dies without a second. Supervisor Bureau.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a little background, because I originated this resolution during the budgeting process. Again, just as a reminder for all of us, these are best practices that are adopted by government finance officers across the country. And again, what it does is it puts it in the categories that are common terminology for us. And a little bit about the why real quickly. How many of us get a little confused when we start talking about fund balances? Well, what this does, it's a common language. Again, we better understand our financials. It gives direction to the administration to adopt best practices, and because we're in charge of setting policy, and recognize again, we're allocating and spending tax dollars, our tax dollars, as well as our constituents. The last thing I want to say is this resolution gives the public more trust in how we run our business. The numbers we report, and trust, again, is very important in supporting transparency. So I ask, again, for support of this resolution. It's also been endorsed by both the administration and finance side, as well as the Personnel and Finance Committee 4-0. So I ask for your support. Thank you.
Supervisor Cox, second time.
Turn it up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We went to the point of voting, our entire committee voted for this. We'd read it 3 times, and then we read it in the last term twice. Okay, so we've gone through this many times. Paul has done a wonderful job getting the thing together. I think if you don't want to vote for it, you're making a mistake. This is something that we really should have in our toolbox. It's something that we're seeing things happen now in inflation and whatever else that are coming down the pipe, that we need to have something to back us up. And this is going to do it. I'm voting for it the way it is. I hope you all do too.
Supervisor Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am a finance person, a strategic thinker. You all know that I have a passion for priority-based budgeting and having clear strategies that we're all aligned to. In this fund reserve resolution, I think you'll find that this enables more transparency to our constituents, as Supervisor Bureau said, and as Chairman of our Finance Committee, Morris Cox said, you will find that this has been visited and revisited a number of times, and we are doing our darndest to get this passed so that we can provide visibility to our constituents. Thank you.
Not seeing any other names. All those in favor of resolution number 0108032025 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Nay. 1 nay. Carried. I'm open for adjournment.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, we are adjourned.